Have you ever wondered why your Google business profile isn't driving the sales as expected, particularly with Black Friday approaching? You know, most businesses unknowingly sabotage their results, and it's not down to pricing, it's often down to something else. And after helping thousands of businesses turn this around, I know what works. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 7 simple fixes that you can make to your business so you can unlock the potential of your Google business profile and your website and see real sales in time for Black Friday. But before you use my 30 years of experience to apply all these tips to your profile and your website, I've got a guide in the description below that's called 5 Power Tips, and you can apply this to your business now to make sure that it's up together, ready to go. So download it, it's for free in the description below. So let's head on to the first actionable tip you can make that's going to change your business on Google Maps. And this is just all about focusing on the customer. A business is got a website, the customer comes to the website and they want to make a purchase, they like the product they've seen, but there's no button, there's no way of getting it into their cart, there's no way of knowing what the next stage is. So the problem is sometimes business owners are so close to their products or their business, or maybe they got their website built a few years ago and there's been some updates, and they forgot to then become the customer to see what it's like from the customer's point of view. And so customers are stuck there going, well, how do I purchase it in the first place? And so they abandon the cart and you don't get a sale. The second area is the photos should be helpful. So don't just have photos just for the sake of you've got to put an image up, but have a photo that shows the product, but it's a really good photo of the product. Maybe you've got it on a white background, or the product is the primary part of the photo, not something hidden in a scatty background somewhere. So if you're representing your business and you're using product photos, then these photos need to really be professional. What you don't want is on your social media, people seeing a couple of products you're selling and then say your cat that you've borrowed from your nan. It then really affects the quality and your perception as a business. So that's another reason why sales don't always go through, because the actual images, the product images aren't that great. The third area I've noticed is how sometimes the logo or the branding just seems to vary when you go from one place to another. So I go to the website, there's a logo there and some branding. When I say branding, it's the colors, the fonts, that type of thing. And then I go to the Google business profile and it's totally different, or there's no logo. So what does that do? I lose trust. I don't know is this the authentic business? Is this the one they're claiming it is? They should always be the same. So your logo, your brand should be the same no matter where you go, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on LinkedIn, or whatever images you have, there should be a consistency there. And it's key also to choose the right colors for your business. In fact, when I first started out doing this channel, this YouTube channel, about 3 or 4 years ago, my first 12 or 13 videos were all about the importance of branding and the colors being used. So if you're really into that, then go right to the beginning when I was 3 or 4 years younger, and there you'll see I cover those things when it comes to logos, branding, and the perception those images give. Particularly colors like red, oranges can work quite well in business, as can blues, but there are some colors you want to avoid. So check out those videos if you haven't seen them already. The fourth area is just to bear in mind there's some really good shops you can have now. So if you've got a WordPress website, you can add in WooCommerce. Maybe if you're using Shopify, you can use that too. There are some great ways now in making shopping carts work for your business. And you want to make it easy for people to pay. So can they use PayPal? Can they use international ways to pay? Try and use and bear in mind who your customers are, what they want to pay. Most people don't want to send a check in the post any longer. So you need to perhaps update how people pay you. And so the best way would be to try and take as many online payment methods as possible, and that will encourage them more sales. The fifth tip is what I would say is mind your language, and it really covers 2 areas. The first is the fact that you might want to have multi-language on your website. So if you have a definite split of languages when it comes to your customers, then offer both types of websites in both types of languages, and that can be really helpful to get sales. But it can be now that if you're using something like Google, if you're using Chrome, most browsers now can actually translate it on the fly. So if you're using good text, then that can also achieve that. And there's other plugins you can get as well that will give you multi-language solutions. But the second area is also, when it comes to your language, is the words you use. So use plain English, as it were. In other words, when you speak about your products, use the language that your customers are using, not the language that you in your employment use. So you might have your own little sayings, your own little acronyms. Well, of course, that means nothing at all to the average Joe that's looking for your services or your products. So just dumb it down a bit, think in terms of what they're using. And the best way to find that out is to go to Google, start typing in a couple of things, a couple of phrases, and then see what questions people are asking. And so they may well be using terms that are the basic terms, but then you should be using those basic terms when it comes to appealing to your audience. So for an example, if you're a tech support business, instead of saying we specialize in comprehensive IT solutions, leveraging cutting edge technology, which is probably true, you might say this: we fix computers and make them run faster. Got a problem? We can help. So you can see it's plain English. Or if you're a cleaning service, instead of saying we provide comprehensive janitorial services utilizing state-of-the-art cleaning equipment, you might just say, if you need a clean space, we've got you covered. Let's take care of the mess so that you can relax. Basic English, but that will appeal to the customers that are looking for your business. The sixth area why people don't get sales is because it's a really poor experience on a mobile, or it just loads so slowly. You know, Google ranks your business based on how fast it loads and also whether it loads on a mobile. If your website isn't mobile friendly, then you won't get ranked. That's how it works these days. So make sure that you run some checks every so often, and you can do that through page speed, you can do that through several tools that Google provides. Most people, when they're using a cart, if it takes 3 minutes for the website to load, they're just going to say they're not going to bother, they're going to abandon their cart. And that's why a lot of people lose sales, because their website is just too slow at loading. And the seventh area is the fact that most people don't realize the importance of getting reviews. But it's not just reviews on Google Business, it's reviews across the web. And most people would say that reviews are, in effect, they're the word of mouth. They're the way in which years ago people would give a recommendation. So if you were just, say, walking down the road and you saw your neighbour, oh, do you know of any good window cleaners? Well, today, how does it work? You just go to Google and do a search for window cleaners. But you know, Google also recognises that what Facebook, what Checkertrader, what Yelp, what Yellow Pages, whatever people are saying about your business is part of a ranking system. So most people don't realise this, but actually how you get reviews, the amount of times you get reviews, the quality of those reviews, and how they're spread over various different third-party social media areas will all affect your ranking. And of course, that's why I put together a workshop to explain there's a lot more to reviews than just getting a couple of 5-star reviews. So if you want to know more about that workshop, then there's a video here that explains why it can really resolve your problems and increase your sales. So head over to this video next. I'll see you there.